Hello and welcome to Comic Solving Problems. I'm Stephen Allen.
And I'm Erich McElroy, and welcome to the show where two comics take on all of the world's problems and solve them just for you. And since we started this show, clearly the world has gotten to be a much better place. It's not like they're starting to dump shit in rivers. What's that? Sorry, they're doing... Fuck's sake. Anyway, don't go swimming in the rivers in the UK. Other than that, what you can do, because this is a completely dry environment, is you can enjoy this show, and you can do so on the YouTube channel. If you're watching us on another platform, jump over to the YouTube, because there you can subscribe, and there you can join our wonderful community of people who are in the chat throughout the show. You can also follow us on the Twitter, and if you really like what's happening, you could donate to the show to keep us all from going insane. And you might need to donate just that little bit more, because we're pleased to welcome back Steve as full-time on Comic Solving Problems and not doing that other lark on that thing called Dave, whatever that is. So it's nice. Welcome to you again, being your main media platform, because I'm sure that, that little side hustle that you had going on over there, that's ended now, hasn't it?
Well, look, we filmed the last episode, but on Thursday night there's still the best of episode that goes out on Dave. So I'm still on TV. So this is not my biggest media outlet yet. Thank you.
Well, next week it will be. Just trying to bring you down.
Next week I've got some bookings on GB News. So this is still my biggest media outlet. A boom!
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm of course was quite pleased for you, but I guess what the viewers don't realize is that whenever you're on Dave and when you're on MASH, I have to call you Sir and Mr. Allen and that kind of thing. So I'm just happy for that to end and for me just to go back to calling you the other names that I get to call you.
Do not address Mr. Allen. Do not look him in the eyes. Yeah,
that's right. Sorry, sir. I apologize until the best of is over. And also, if everything looks a little bit rusty today, it's because apparently there's a new touchscreen technology that's coming where you'll actually be able to feel what you're touching. And I was able to get a beta tablet of that. And that was pretty much most of my day. Touching.
Ooh.
But other than that, we'll catch up with you in the chat in a second. Welcome to the show. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to smash that like button since we're on YouTube. And that's the only way you can like a button. But to take us into our first problem, Mr. Not Looking in the Eye, Stephen Allen.
Yep, I want to deal with the issue of how to save this world with the whole climate changey thing. I want to say straight off the bat, I'm all for saving the Earth. It's where I keep most of my stuff. And also, I'm not one of those rich billionaires who's thinking, sod the Earth, I've got Mars to make my bitch. So I'm all for saving this planet. So it's good to know that we've got COP26 happening. A lot of people make jokes about, the first 25 didn't do it. Don't be so stupid. It's called COP26 because it happens in the year 2026. And isn't it weird how it takes a few seconds for you to work out that that's definitely not true? But how long were we in lockdown for? It could have been 2026. It's very difficult to put a number on it these days. But no, COP26, it is a weird sounding thing. I always think it sounds like some sort of terrible police show on some channel that's like not Channel 5, but it's 5 Star or 5 USA or something. COP26, about what happens to a very low-ranking police officer. And, I mean, I'd watch it if it were anything like this.
Okay, Cop 1, you're on this case. Cop 2, you're their partner. I don't care if you two's got sexual tension. Cop 3, 4, 5, you work in backup. Cop 6 through 15, how about you canvass the area? You get us some witnesses. Cops 16 to 25, you work in admin. I know. If I needed someone to bust my chops, I'd stay home. Cop 26, why don't you get me some coffee?
Solid accent. Come on.
Coffee?
Coffee. Hey.
Coffee. Not coffee.
Just saying
Coffee. Why are you water? Quaff.
If anyone, just saying, technically an actor and definitely available for work these days. So if anyone needs me to do some of that. It's all right, COP26 is actually all about trying to save the planet, which is good because environmentalism is very much an issue at the moment. People are talking about it. I mean, look, the Queen's not going to COP26, but she's busy. It's been trending on Twitter, she's 95. And I think that'll be a good one. She's 98 won't be so good. She's XP. That's the kind of shiz I'm talking about. She's Vista. Jog on. Wait till she's 10 again. But then there's not just the issue of COP26. Environmentalism's happening everywhere, especially with the protests. And Insulate Britain, or whatever they're called, Loftlaggers Anonymous, are back in the news. They're saying that we shouldn't use the M25 on Wednesday as part of a protest. You little gits. Because for 8 weeks, I've been driving on the M25 to Essex to do a radio show on every day apart from Wednesday. And on Wednesday, I've been A1ing it down to Elstree. So if you'd have picked any other week recently to do it for the last 2 months, I could have been all pious at dinner parties. Oh, actually, yeah, I've not been using the M25 on Wednesdays because we've all got to do whatever we can to save the planet. There's only one planet, yeah. But I'm going to have to deal with it tomorrow, you little gits. Damn it. And they said if you have to use the M25, you've got to stick to a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit. And obviously, 20-mile-an-hour speed limit on the M25, a lot of drivers immediately thought,
20 miles an hour? F***ing chance to be a fine f***ing thing, you f***s.
Because that's what it's like when you drive on the M25. Also, when they were talking about this, they want to bring in this 20-mile-an-hour speed limit. And they want Highways Agency to enforce it. And I like the last bit. They've asked police to refuse to arrest them.
Aww.
Can you do that? Can I also ask HMRC to just be a bit belligerent about taking my tax? Can I ask for like the border force to just let me in and out? I can't be asked with all of that non-EU Q thing. Can we just have a crack at that? Brilliant. Happy times. I mean, it's good that they want to try and do things for safety reasons. Like they say the 20-mile-an-hour safety limit would stop there being as many accidents during the protests. I tell you what else would make things safer. Not gluing your face to the M25.
Oh, yeah.
That would help. If you have to do this protest, for safety reasons, glue your face to a B road. Because there just won't be as much. In fact, actually, Pritt stick it. Don't use super glue. Pritt stick your face to a B road, and in the event of an emergency, we'll all be happier. If you're that worried about safety, I'm still not sure you're going about this protest the right way. It's like the idea of saving the planet. Not sure annoying everyone in the cars is the way forwards. I mean, surely I do enough, don't I? Because I recycle. Nope.
Yeah.
Boris Johnson has said that recycling doesn't work. He told some children that recycling doesn't work. We can look at the picture of some video from it. Let's have a look.
Recycling isn't the answer. I've got to be honest with you. What you've got to do is stop the production of plastic. Stop the first use.
That last bit, stop the first use of plastic, seems like his rather well-rehearsed reason to not wear a condom.
Thank you.
However,
If you hadn't said that, I would.
you were waiting for it. I do think it's very strange that that's the speech he's giving to children. I mean, I've never been a children's entertainer, but that seems like dry bants. Not very entertaining, especially when you bear in mind that he's just done that recycling doesn't work speech in front of children, whereas when he was at the UN...
And when Kermit the Frog sang, "It's not easy being green." You remember that one?
Someone printed off the wrong PDF. That's the script for the kids' gig, isn't it? What's the references they'll get? The UN. Yeah, let's talk about the Muppet Show. So, recycling doesn't work. God, I hope he's wrong, because I have spent like half of my adult life washing out yogurt pots for nothing, Eric. And you know what? There was always something weird about it, because I kept thinking, this yogurt pot's going to be recycled. I need to wash out the yogurt from the inside, but the label around the outside, they'll take care of that. Whatever process they've got to get rid of the outer label, surely that sorts out any residual yogurt. Yogurt's not that difficult to remove. And yet now we find out that half of these pots just end up being thrown away anyway. So instead of just simply taking a yogurt pot, throwing it in the bin, and it going into landfill, instead I waste perfectly drinkable water that's had to be treated to rinse out the yogurt, to then send it to a different place where they ignore it and send it to landfill then, so there's more mileage on it. Well, thank you. It makes no sense. You know what? I always knew this was weird as well. When they started to bring in mixed recycling bins. You have one bin for mixed recycling, your papers, your plastics, your metals, and another bin for household waste. And I thought to myself, if they have a process that is clever enough to separate out the different metals, the papers, the cardboards, and the plastics, why don't they just separate that out from other waste, and you can go back to having the one bin we always used to have all the flipping time. And it's just been done to keep us busy, isn't it? Instead of actually complaining about the fact that other people aren't sorting out the planet, that businesses aren't doing more, instead we just kept busy washing out their pissy little yogurt pots all the time. Ooh, this one's been winding me up. There's been an issue with what's this one? An issue with how to save the planet to do with the electricity. A new report says that posting pictures online and storing emails adds to the environmental crisis. And this is because if you store it, it uses server farms for the storage. They use electricity. That electricity is often not produced reusably, which means I can delete people's emails and I'm helping to save the planet. I have a valid reason to not click like when someone's posted yet another picture of their goddamn lunch. I'm just trying to do my bit. Finally, the news I have been waiting for all along. And this is why I'm okay about tomorrow. Yes, I'll be driving on the M25. No, I won't be sticking to 20 miles an hour. And at some point, if some Loftlaggers anonymous person says, what are you doing? I'll say, look, I'm not taking a selfie of myself right now, which means I'm doing my bit to save the planet.
Yeah.
Actually, thank you very much. And they will stare at me in disbelief. And I'll say, take a picture, it'll last longer. And then we're back to square one. Damn it. But there we go. We're up to date on saving the planet.
Well, that's good. I mean, I guess maybe, because I've got probably 50,000 photos on my phone or something. Does it tell you the number? I'll just print them all.
Yeah, that'll do.
It doesn't say how many, but there's a lot.
And if you pay for that ink, that'll actually increase.
I mean, I got my first iPhone. Yeah, I got my first iPhone in 2006. Well, at least there's photos in here from 2006. So, yeah. So
who would have thought the cloud is part of the flipping environmental problems?
But I don't understand that, because clouds are wet. How could you put electricity in them?
Yeah. You have to make sure you're not earthed.
Yeah. But they're not earthed. They're in the sky.
Yeah.
Is it because of the rockets going up?
It must be. Yeah, it must be
It's
that.
the Bezos rocket. That's why it looks like a penis, because it's got to go through the clouds.
It's got a vein on it. You can see the videos about that. I must admit, with Gmail, because they offer you 15 gigabytes or 17 if you fill in some survey or something. And I keep running out of space on there because there are so many old emails.
I save every email.
Yeah, I got 17 gigabytes worth of emails. A lot of them have got file attachments because they're all old voiceovers that I did. No one's going to need those. If I go through my emails, I might be able to find the voiceover of the tank one that I did back when I desperately needed the money.
I used to print old emails to save them.
How'd that work out for you?
Got a pile of them somewhere.
I'll go through some of the comments. So, Hi Bogey's in. Brit's in as well. Chris says, evening all. Chris Hood says, it's the same Chris, says, Autumn Watch has another 15 minutes. Are you missing Autumn Watch for this? Why, thank you.
What is that? Is that another cop show?
Yeah.
Autumn is a police officer.
It's the partnership. Detective Brian Autumn and the next one down from Detective Timothy Watch, and together they're Autumn Watch.
But what if they take a fall?
Yeah, and they take off their glasses after that. Looks like someone's in for a nasty fall. Tom says, evening everybody. Jack says hello. So we've got some hellos there. Sorry if we missed someone out. And so look, some of these here. I'm even banned from, because we're already doing the joke about being banned from shops. Nice for that. Thanks for that, Brit. I'm getting confused about where we are. Yay, Steve, says Brian. Thank you.
Very straightforward.
Yep. And isn't GB News the outlet from which they pump the shit, says Jack? Into the rivers? Possibly.
Yeah. That's a way to save the water when you're washing your yogurt pots. If you don't want to use clean water, just go down to the river and wash your yogurt pots in the shit.
Nice.
Does that work for you?
Yeah. Brian says Eric is being very hands-on. Is he doing his thing? Is he doing his dry
I think that was the tablet. That was a reference to the tablet.
All right. Someone should tell Eric that it's not a stylus. Brian says, Eric been copping a feel with his new tablet. All right, you just dirty people with your dirty things. RoboCop26 says Brit, uphold the floor. Got no idea what we're talking about now. Top accent. You see, this is what I'm here for. Top accent, says Brian. Finally, a decent American accent, says Mark R. Authentic, says Chris Curling. These experts in American accents, all from
none of whom are
various parts
American.
of the UK.
None of whom are American. I think my accent is good. If that's good coffee.
Okay. Tie wraps and nail polish remover. Don't know why they have so much difficulty restraining these morons, says iBogey. Oh, does the nail polish remover stop them from sticking to the tarmac? Interesting. Prince Andrew would be safe in Glasgow, says Mark R. It's never warm enough to induce sweating. He'll be fine. Yuppie method yar, says Chris. Pritt stick, more like prick stuck, says Brian. We're here all week, apart from we're not. They should protest on a sharp bend to make sure everyone's paying attention. What body part should we be gluing to the M25 then? Interesting. iBogey says eyeballs, but I would say if you're on the M25, you've already had a bad enough day. Yeah. Put up a poster. They have those things where they advertise teeth whitening and various sheds and things on the side of the when you go through the Essex part. Let's rent some field space. Come on, we could do it that way. Victoria's here. Not replying to emails helps to save electricity. I'm on it. Thank you. And you can keep the messages coming through. And if you're enjoying the show enough to keep this supported, you could donate some money to our Ko-fi page, which will also require some server activity. Sorry, planet. Sorry, Gaia. But we need the money.
Yeah, but we're using that cloud that doesn't take the energy.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful work. So we're up to date with those. You can keep the chat going in the YouTube. Mr. Erich McElroy, what are you bringing to us this time?
Well, I think I'm going to end up at the end of the story having to bring some humility to the show, Steve, because sometimes you have to admit when you're wrong about something. And, you know, my former president may not be so former anymore, because it could be he's been talking about the election being stolen from him. He's been going on about it just a little bit. It's been a massive talking point for Trump about the last election. And it could be that maybe I'm a little bit wrong about the fact that he didn't win that election. You know, he's been talking about it a lot.
The single biggest issue, the issue that gets the most pull, the most respect, the biggest cheers, is talking about the election fraud of 2020 presidential election. Nobody's ever seen anything like it.
And you know something's real if it gets the biggest truth. But, you know, all of his minions agree. There's loads of them out there. There's this guy named Josh Mandel.
I need to say something that I get attacked by the media for saying this. I get attacked by my opponents for saying this, but I believe it very strongly, and so I want to say it up here. I believe the election was stolen from Donald J. Trump.
I love how he says that. Like, it's so emotional and so difficult for him to say, to admit that the election was stolen, because that's a big thing. And he gets all choked up when he knows he's going to say it in front of a group of people who already believe that the election was stolen by Donald Trump. I'm going to get such a big applause from this. He's not the only one, of course. There's Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Had a great planning session for our January 6th objection. We aren't going to let this election be stolen by Joe Biden and the Democrats. President Trump won by a landslide.
Yep, and you always got to believe the lady who believes in the Jewish space lasers starting forest fires in California. Yeah. Never doubt the lady who believes in the Jewish space lasers starting fires in California. Always believe her. Because it turns out there was some fraud in the election.
His wife, Rosemary, who passed away 3 years ago, she is one of two cases of somebody who died on Clark County's voter rolls. They were sent a mail-in ballot, and that ballot was returned. The question now is, though, who voted for her?
That's right. Who did the voting for her? So how exactly did this fraud go down? This is the story that could prove that Donald Trump was right about the election being stolen.
Name is still on Clark County's voter rolls, and since everyone in those rolls got a ballot, one was sent to Rosemary. But Kirk says a ballot never got to his house.
That is pretty sickening to me, to be honest with you.
According to ballot tracks, the mail-in ballot was sent October 9th and returned the day before Election Day. Clark County officials say Rosemary's signature is a match to what's on their records.
Yep, the husband is deeply upset that his vote was stolen from his deceased wife. He's sickened by it. You know, the thing, he's just it's a thing to be sick about, isn't it? And of course, this cause was in the news for a while. It was picked up by a number of different Republicans talking about this is proof of fraud. And he was sickened about it. The Republican Party was talking about it, how it might have affected the results of the election. This was a big thing. It was picked up by Dinesh D'Souza. And this news story that we just watched was tweeted by him. Dinesh, if you don't know who he is, he's a convicted felon who was pardoned by Trump. So he's very much a reliable source when it comes to news and information. But there is an update on the story. We now know who committed this clear, sickening act of voter fraud using this poor, dead woman's vote. And it was the husband. So it turns out when he was talking about being sickened by what happened, he was just making himself sick.
Interesting. I was going to go with ghost, but makes more sense your way.
Yep. It's always the husband. It's just like when there's a murder, and they call in COP26. I wonder who did this. You always start with the spouse.
Yeah.
Always start with the
COP26 turns up at the end and go, I got you this coffee. And that's all we see in that episode.
I think it was the husband. Because the thing was, it was an identical signature to what she'd been signing. So she probably hasn't been voting for years.
Ah, nice.
Yeah. So and fraud has been proved in the election, and it was committed by the Trump supporter who was being used as evidence of fraud by other Trump supporters.
Right. So if
Trump wasn't lying.
You take that Trump vote away, would he have won by a landslide?
No.
Oh.
Yep. That's what the other thing. After the Arizona audit that they just did, it actually raised Biden's vote total.
All right. And if you increase Biden's total vote, does Trump win by a landslide?
He should.
It's very difficult, this adding.
The democracy thing is tricky. It's very tricky. So there you go. I mean, there was fraud in the election. I admit it. Trump lost by more than we thought.
An even bigger landslide. Beautiful word.
Let's check up on any things here. Crikey, does Eric get to vote in the UK now with that accent? Let's go back to my accent before. That's right, mate. I do get a vote here. Love doing that. The clouds are disappearing due to global warming. That's true. I have less storage than I used to.
Oh, no.
That's why. I'm going to start storing stuff in my socks. Brian said, sorry, I mean Moloko here.
As in Twitter username.
Right.
Hello.
Okay. And there's some clown faces there. Britt says, I believe that the election was stolen. Also believe in unicorns, aliens, and the clown from It.
Yeah.
Those are more factual basis in those than there is in the election fraud results.
Seen all of those on telly.
Chris says, I thought it was always the butler what did it. No.
So don't marry the butler. Otherwise, it's a double whammy.
It's a double thing. Yeah, if you're married to the butler. Except it was not Harrison Ford in The Fugitive. There's always the exception that proves the rule.
Yep.
Brian pointing that out. Chris Curling says landslide, more like a sinkhole.
Yep. Hell yeah. Geographical references. Sorting out. Well, I mean, look, maybe she's not an expert on geographical references if she thinks fires are started by Jewish space lasers.
Bless her. Got to bless the fascists. Someone's got to. But why not? So there we go. I think we're caught up on the comments and solved election fraud.
Yeah, the Kofi thing's on screen. We'll talk more about that at the end. Right, into the next problem. I like to solve problems by finding a headline from the newspapers or the news websites. We show you the headline, we see what the problem is. Here's a news headline that I spotted. It came out earlier today. It's about Tilly Ramsey, comedian abused over namesake's chubby remark, on the BBC news website. Interesting. Which comedian would this be? Interesting.
Who is that young man?
Who is that? Yeah.
How old is that photo?
What? It's not. What? A little bit, yeah. But same jacket, I think, by the looks of things. But so let's go back to the start of this story. What's it all about? If you've not heard any about it, even though I've been waffling about it a lot, and all of my newspaper columns this week are very much about this. It all started with when we were filming the episode of Late Night MASH. I checked my phone, and this story comes out saying, Strictly's Tilly Ramsey calls out LBC host after she's branded chubby live on air. And I thought, uh-oh. that means, because we've got the same name, he's Steve Allen, I'm Stephen Allen, but that's not enough of a difference. I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll get ahead of this. I'll screenshot this story, make it the thing on my Twitter so that if someone sees it, thinks it's me, looks at Twitter, and then we'll see that story, and I'll be like, look, at the top, great, time to get some hate on Twitter meant for someone else. They'll work it out and then be like, it's not Steve. And I thought,
course, Twitter works.
Pretty clever. We finished filming that episode. Day later, I'm out with the missus, we're having a nice meal, and someone on Facebook sends me a message saying, is this you? And there was a story on Unilad that had a picture of me. And calls grow to fire LBC presenter who body shamed Tilly Ramsey. There I am, looking all smug about the body shaming that I've been doing. Difficult. So I started, I didn't want to get told off using my phone too much during dinner, but sending messages like, could you remove this? And they didn't reply to any. So I then tweeted it saying, like, this is not me. Could you get it done?
Yeah.
And already, so they'd posted that on their website and comments started happening, and they posted it on their Facebook and there were some comments. Let's go through some of the comments that I read whilst there was a picture of my face on their Facebook. I mean, he's hardly Brad Pitt, is he? Fair enough, true. Steve Allen, a face only a mother could love. No wonder he's a radio presenter. Kind of hurts, but all right, yeah, tune in on Time FM. Why is it always the middle-aged, fossilizing, crusty people that have something to say? I suppose I am middle-aged, whereas the LBC guy is 67, so he's older than that. Audacity, even talking about people's appearance when he's a state. He looks like a thumb. Fucking hell. I do not look like a thumb.
3 likes.
He got a lot of those, yeah. I do not look like a thumb. Can we check this with the graphics, people? Do I look like a thumb? I mean, all right, fair play. That one, I can see there's certain thumb-like resemblance in what they're doing there. But so I've never really been that harsh. I certainly don't like to do body-shaming style jokes. And look, I am also scared about saying that because I'm sure you could find a joke I've done in the past that's tasteless. But, we're comedians. We might have pushed the boundaries, but I certainly don't sit around going, that person on TV's fat. Yeah. So it was really bizarre that I've not really done those kind of jokes. And look, for everyone who said that I'm too bald, fat, and ugly to make those comments, you're right. And that's partly why I didn't make those comments. That's worth bearing in mind. I never said those things, but I didn't do the crime, but I got an awful lot of the time sitting there just being told by people. Plus, I got emails. Here's one, screenshot. How dare you make those horrible and hurtful comments about a very young girl? Are you fixated and jealous she has a world-renowned father? I'm not fixated, but yes, of course I'm jealous. She has a world-renowned father. You have the ability via your work to affect the lives and influence many people. Sadly, you choose not to be just negative, but downright offensive. Now do something decent for once in your life and resign from LBC. I will never again tune into anything involving you. Well, look, the good news is LBC will not let me in the building. So that should cheer you up, although you won't be watching this because you'll never again tune into anything that I do, even though it wasn't me that made those comments. It's been a weird time. And then eventually we managed to get a message. And it wasn't just that website. I took a screenshot of the Unilad one. The Sun website did it, and we're still trying to work out which other websites took the photo from this library that had me incorrectly labelled in there. So there's been a lot of websites that have done it, but they did correct it. Unilad in their to be fair, in their credits. And you know what? That's the picture of him. And even I'm willing to admit, it is not a million miles away, is it? It's, yeah, I see the point. It's like he came back from the future to warn me to not do jokes about people on Strictly. Yeah, it's not great. And even on the BBC website, the coverage I was reading today about this story, where they said Stephen Allen from Nottinghamshire said people called him bald, fat and ugly because of his namesake. And then they've kind of used a picture that proves it right. I mean,
you do look handsome.
No, but look, that picture, whilst it might be quite a few years ago now, like 4 or 5 years ago, I think I've got more of a chin these days. What's going on there?
You hadn't learned the beard trick yet.
Or the pushing your tongue to the top of your mouth when they're taking a photo. I was told that one. Whereas that one just looks like I'm halfway through a... So that was...
Was that one for Kent, that photo?
That was a BBC publicity shot, yeah, which they used on their own flipping website, dobbing me right in. Look at that ugly face. So look, that's the situation. And that's what I learned from this. Because all of these people will spend a lot of time saying things like, be nice, you should be nice to people. As soon as they thought I was a transgressor, they didn't think about being nice. They just went in with the opposite of nice. And look, hashtag be nice is easy when you're being nice to someone that you want to be nice to. The only challenge in this world is to try and be nice when you think you don't have to. When you could give yourself permission to be the worst version of yourself, reining it in is the only virtue worth having. And it turns out not a lot of people online have that. As soon as they thought it was me making those comments, they got stuck right in. So maybe if someone says a bad thing, criticize them for what they've said. And that way you definitely can't accidentally end up having a weekend of calling the wrong person ugly, which is pretty much the thing that you're bothered about. The crime that you're upset about is the crime that you've just sat around and done for a while. So we were talking about what I could do to get it sorted. I don't want to be confused with that, Steve Allen. Did I need to think about changing my name? I've certainly realised, because we look too similar, now that I don't have to shave because of Late Night MASH, I'm going to grow the beard. And previously on this show, we've grown the beard out. There's a picture of me from when...
Oh, my God.
From when I grew a beard during lockdown. Look at that. He certainly does not look like LBC Steve Allen. So those are the days. So I'm going to develop that beard again so that I can't be confused with the other Steve Allen. And we're talking about this on radio, and people were saying if I grow a big enough beard, I'll look like a sailor. Sometimes it grows enough and it's grayer than it used to be. It looks like I should be in Great Yarmouth, being on and off the trawlers. I got that kind of vibe. And then I thought, wait a minute. That means if I grow a beard, I should be doing that trend that was on TikTok of singing sea shanties to explain the story, the mission that I went through. And it would be a sea shanty, let's call it a Steve shanty, that goes like this.
There once was a man, his name was Steve, but he was mean and not like me. He said mean things of a young Ramsey, but they all use my picture. Oh dear, it's what I feared. I'll hide my face and grow a beard. It might seem right weird, but I'll change my name to Susan.
You're up to date. That's the end of that story, I think.
Good to see you, Susan.
I think that's the end of that story. We'll see.
Some good publicity on it.
Yeah. I mean, the publicity is great, but the people who've been emailing me saying, like, I'll never support your work ever again. It's like, oh, okay.
I'm sure they've apologized.
A lot of I've replied to them all, and I think all the ones that have emailed me directly, I've emailed, and they've all apologized, going, oh, sorry, I got the wrong Steve Allen, which means they bothered to get my email address from my website, but didn't check that I was right. That's a lot of research in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Even worse than that are the people who didn't like the comments I was associated with, bothered to work out. They searched and they tried to find out which radio station I work at. They found Time FM and emailed the boss saying I should be sacked. So there have been multiple emails sent into there saying sack me.
Does he realize you're not the other Steve Allen? Was he like,
so.
Oh shit! I thought you were the guy from LBC.
I hope so. God, yeah. So. I don't know.
Do you think that because if you look at that photo of the two of you side by side, can you bring that back?
Yeah, it's this one.
Is that just what happens when you work in radio for a long time? Is there something like in the electrical waves of the radio that make you go bald? And
yeah, I mean, he's 67, which again, part of that bothers me that people were searching for a picture of a 67-year-old, saw that picture of me and went, yeah. Bit rude.
And they chose a picture that was more recent than the one that the BBC chose.
Yes, that shirt, that blue shirt down the bottom. I often wear that on this show, so it's definitely still in the rotation.
I'd love to get mistaken for anyone. I had a heckler call me a Christian Slater hobbit, but the thing is, I'm just as tall as Christian Slater, so Christian Slater is hobbit-like. But saying I look like Christian Slater,
it's tautologist.
That's not even an insult. You're saying I look like a handsome actor.
You know where most of the comments that we get on any of the TikToks that I post from these are people saying, why does that guy look like the old guy from Up? That happens a lot. And I've often
Thanks
screenshot
for not
them.
Sharing that before.
I've got to screenshot them, so they're available if ever you need them.
Were you just holding those back to throw at me one day?
It's on most of our videos that go viral, someone starts chipping in with, why is the guy from Up involved in this? But maybe
I'm the young version of the guy from Up.
Yes, they do. They do say that.
I'll take that.
You should take that because no one said you look like a thumb. You really are walking away from this pretty good.
Hold on, let me just see. If we put my thumb, no, we can't.
I'd have to get one in.
I think that does look like you.
Yeah.
Yours has gone into focus. Mine's fixed focus.
Hello and welcome to Comic Solving. Hello and welcome to Comic Solving Problems.
I would be the hairy thumb.
Yeah, try and get your hair around it. Draw some glasses on.
Draw some glasses on. Do this kind of shit on fucking MASH, do you?
Get your pen. Draw some glasses on there, and we can have that as a screenshot. We'll do that.
Hold on.
You do that. I'll read out some of the messages coming through.
I have a pen.
You've not got a pen. You're in your office. It's true.
I do everything on the computer.
Brit says it's a fair cop. Fair COP26. Topical. Maybe in Fight Club. Not sure what we're talking about there. iBogey says you're beautiful, Steve. Ultra sexy mate. DW. Don't know what that means, but I'll take most of that, apart from the DW thing. Don't know what that is. Crazy lol. How many times did you say check the name? Yeah, I mean the problem is though, my name's similar, my face is similar. We both work in radio. I totally understand how it's an easy mistake to make, but it really would. The only thing that it comes down to is that bit where you think, is this a picture of a 67-year-old? Because I might not look great for my age, but I look pretty bloody good for his. So that's what I'm talking about. No votes for no vote. Oh bloody hell! No votes for awards. Brit show. All those tough messages. Poor Steve. Would offer hugs to Steve, but no, he is tactile defensive. Yeah, it's been a right couple of weeks. Thank you. I can't believe they confused LBC Steve Allen with award not nominated Steve Allen. Thanks. Yeah. Brian says you could change your name to Tom Logan. Nice. Might have to. It's a bit like in Shawshank Redemption, where at the end of it, Andy Dufresne has to pretend to be the fake character. Sorry, spoiler alert if you've never seen it. And, the Bee Gees do sea shanties, says Jack. Yeah, nothing wrong with a sea shanty. I blame the lighting in that picture, says Brian. So do I. I mean, other people would blame the face. But yeah.
If you'd been in the dark, you wouldn't look like that. And
Britt says, please never say hairy thumb again.
All right, let's do it. I've painted the glasses on now.
Hang on, let me take the... what do we need to take off?
Which way do I go here? No, wrong way. This is harder than it looks. There we go. Oh, steady, steady.
Hello, and welcome to Comic Solving Problems. I'm Stephen Allen.
I'm Erich McElroy.
I love the fact you keep checking.
That's because I can't hold my arm steady. Hold on, let me brace myself.
I'm a little bit worried. Mine's so in focus that people could probably trace out my thumbprint. And the last thing I need is another mistaken identity fuck up. Brian says, looks like Agent Smith. No. Your thumb looks like Mr. Anderson. Mr. Henderson.
God. I can't wait for the next lockdown. We can go back to doing this twice a week.
Right. Are we up to
It's coming up, isn't it? Should we go back to Tuesdays and Thursdays, do you think?
Yeah, why not? Why not? I don't
Over
have
Christmas?
any other TV work to keep me busy these days.
Well, you did a season of MASH from lockdown.
Yeah.
Seems like a lifetime ago, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's about 3 beards ago.
Right. So, are we caught up?
Yes.
There we go. So, this is a problem with Trump being off social media. So we all know that Donald Trump has been kicked out of Twitter, he's been kicked off of Facebook, which is surprising considering all the stuff that Facebook is doing. You'd think he'd be kind of right up their street these days. But don't worry anymore about Trump not being on social media because he's launched his own social media platform. It's exciting times. He's going to be back. I can't wait. Maybe we'll get blocked by him again. And the social media platform, what's it going to be called? Truth Social. Fits right up Trump's alley, doesn't it? I mean, truth.
That's where truth goes to kick off and not be professional.
So what are you going to do on Truth Social? You know, are you going to tweet things? Are you going to retweet things? No, you're going to be truthing. You're going to retruth, or you're going to follow the truth. Trump is literally trying to trademark truth.
Yeah.
But can you trademark something that you've never actually traded in? Is that possible? Can you do that? I mean, is this just is it attempt to kill irony in America once and for all? I mean, again, I've said many times that British people say that we don't understand irony in America, and it is because we are too busy living irony. That's what we do. And I think Trump owning a website called Truth Social and retruthing something is pretty much a definition of that. Now, this is Trump's profile. We found it because there's a beta version of the site that was launched. This is Trump's profile on there, so you can see that it's just, getting added and stuff like that. But he's got his picture on there with him eating something and smiling, "Make America Great Again." So it's got all the right elements of Trump. But, of course, because it is a Trump product and it's being run in the way that Trump runs things, hackers immediately got in and started posting things on there, images of defecating pigs, expletives, and other things, which, again, could be Trump, because this was what it looked like on his page there. That's still Trump's page. And it turns out that is actually Trump posting that. It's the family portrait of Don Jr., because, that's what he looks like. He's talking shit most of the time.
Doing a Groucho impression.
Now, what?
It's the cigar sticking out of his mouth. One morning I shot an elephant in my pajamas. How I got in my pajamas, I don't know. Yeah.
I like that that's where your mind went with that. It does kind of look like a brown cock on white balls. Anyway. That's where my mind went.
That's where your mind went. We have the technology. Well, the good news is we managed to do a transplant. The bad news...
and your cock smells like shit. Now, of course, like any social media platform, this is supposed to be about truth. It's supposed to be about freedom of speech. That's what Trump has been complaining about. But, of course, there are a number of things that are allowed and not allowed on the platform in the terms and conditions. Yeah. One of the things that is not allowed is writing in all caps.
Oh, God.
So in very Trump fashion, he's going to get banned from his own platform before he even gets started. There's some other things you can't do. You cannot tarnish or disparage or otherwise harm the site itself. So you can't criticize the site, which is what's the point of social media if you can't attack the social media platform that you're on?
Freedom of speech, baby.
Exactly. Other things on there. In the terms and conditions, if they decide to terminate and suspend your account, they can do that. But they can also sue you. So just in case you were wondering if it was Trump's platform, here's another evidence.
Yeah.
So basically, it's a honeypot scheme. So they're going to lure you onto the platform, wait for you to criticize the platform, knock you off of the platform for criticizing it, and then sue you. This is how Trump is going to make money for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant plan. But if you couldn't already, all of that wasn't enough to make you believe that this was Trump's site, already they're in trouble for breaking the rules, and they're basically stealing someone else's software license, and they're going to have to be suspended. They've been told they have 30 days to cease and desist.
Truth.
There you go. That is the truth.
Yeah.
And that's the truth.
Retruth. What was the other one? Click to handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
I mean, there's so many. You're right. If I'd had time, I should have gone through all of those things. But yeah, what were some of the other ones? Where is it here?
Follow the truth. That was
follow the truth, retruth, and truthing. Truthing just sounds like a fetish thing.
Truthing. You see, that's the weird how your brain goes to there, and I was thinking truthing sounds like some kind of crap on Gwyneth's website.
It's both.
Have a weekend away truthing, which is something with a crystal points in some direction.
I would go truthing with Gwyneth Paltrow.
Dirty, you're dirty.
And especially if I had that.
But no harm about you being dirty, because she's named her website Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop. So everything's dirty about all of this. Yes.
Yeah, it's all dirty. Where were we at here? Jim Henderson. Oh, that was from before.
Would you fake Tanya balls if you had that? If that was the situation, like when they said, like, congratulations, the transplant has been successful. Sorry about the car accident. The transplant's been successful. However, there is something of a problem. And then you ended up looking like that picture. Would you fake Tanya balls to...
No. That would be my new dinner party trick. Can you believe this cock they gave me? It doesn't even match my balls.
Would you get invited to many dinner parties, do you reckon?
Get invited once.
Yeah. That's all you need. Just need the one.
Just one time. And your wife, my wife, just going, don't do the cock and balls thing tonight.
Yeah. Oh,
it's like, if you make me go out with, Gary and Susan, I'm going to get the balls out. I don't really like going out with them.
The old two-tone trick.
I mean, you would. Who wouldn't? Let's see.
It'd be like Tommy Cooper's act, where he used to be half dressed in each way with a different hat. You could do the same kind of act. You cover the cock or you cover the balls.
Yeah, I'd be the perfect way to get away with the crime.
Yep, no fingerprints were left. However,
doesn't look like he's got a brown. Anyway,
Brian says, "Don't go there, Steve." Good point. I should have read that about 5 paragraphs earlier.
iBogey says, calling it Truth Social is just asking for it. Yep. Brian says, respect the truth. iBogey says, trademark it as flat earth and Satanism.
Yeah.
Nice. As long as you don't do it in all caps, you're fine. Chris Curling says, only 18 truths, a very credible source then. Britt says, he had to go with truth because shite or I'm a C word were already taken.
Yep.
Truthishly?
What? I read that and I was trying to remember which 90s reference that is. Was it a TV show that?
Truthishly?
It's not Buffy, because I've rewatched all of Buffy during one of the lockdowns.
You are such a nerd.
Yeah. Yeah. Lockdown 1, all of Voyager. End of Lockdown 1 and Lockdown 2, Star Trek Next Generation. And then Buffy. I'm making my way through House again.
And you don't like the Marvel movies?
Yeah, I watched all of those. Rewatched all of those during lockdown.
Cool. Brian, we did too. Have you seen the new Shang-Chi?
No, not yet. Also, I've caught up with all recent James Bond films so that I knew what the hell was happening, but not watched the new one yet. But I did get sick of, like with Spectre, and they were going, oh yeah, the 5 films ago, that guy, remember him? No, I don't, because I've had other things in my life. So I've rewatched all those to know what the hell that was on about.
We're rewatching all the Spider-Man in preparation for
Brilliant.
The new Spider-Man. Anyway, this is a conversation we can have after the show. Brian says, I thought truth was going to be short for something. Yeah, it should be an acronym. If I'd had more time or tried harder, I should have come up with an acronym.
If I'd have tried harder. Yeah, so maybe just lower your donations on Ko-fi. If I would have put some effort in.
We've seen the donations lately, guys, and you've got what you've paid for. So... Britt says, if someone spikes your drink, it will be called Truthied. Nice, because only complete arses would do it.
Truthied.
Brian says, don't even go there, Steve. LOL. Yeah, I read that. Mark Randall says, oh, hello, Mark. I haven't seen you on here. Trump really uses temporary hair, in reference to Brian's comment. Chris Hood says, is it two-tone or is it ska?
Good music reference. Eric won't get that. That's 1980s type vibe, isn't it?
Yeah, I wasn't alive. Chris Curling says a pair of knackers in the same color as the one-ear space hopper. The fuck is that about? Do you know what that means?
It was. I mean, it was the pig's knackers, but the one-eared space hopper. I remember space hoppers when I was younger.
Is that truthishly?
Yeah, but yeah, and then Chris points out where truthishly came from. Yes, it wasn't a 90s thing, was it?
Brian says, give new meaning to the song Ebony and Ivory. It was Family Guy. Yeah. Brian's vacuous girlfriend says truthishly. Well, there we go. I think we're caught up, and the Ko-fi link is there. If you want me to work on an acronym for truth, pay up, motherfuckers.
Pay, and we'll do the setups now, but the punchlines come later, specifically just on social media.
We'll start holding jokes hostage until you pay us to release them.
Do you think we should sign up for this truth social media thing?
Well, you can't. It's been taken down.
But when
it's not working anymore.
Yeah, when it eventually...
Because of the hacking. Yeah, of course, until we get kicked off. I mean, I got blocked from him by... on Twitter, and that got some media attention for me, so why not?
Yeah, but we do lots of other stuff that's not necessarily just Trump related. You know, we do video clips that go particularly well. The really dark joke that I did last week about not giving any food to your kids during Christmas, that's gotten great guns on TikTok. People love that kind of dark shit.
Kids on there.
Yeah, nothing like threatening to make them starve to death for them to go, like, God, people are weird.
Yeah. No, well, you can sign up to join the waiting list, which is the exact same thing that happened with Mike Lindell's site. He announced the website, and then it kind of crashed, and then you would sign up for the mailing list, and then that crashed a few times. And then now it's just, I haven't even looked to see what it is lately, but it was basically advertising My Pillows. So I think what this means is that Trump is going to start selling pillows. But I would imagine they'll be waterproof.
Ooh. Oh.
That's a PP tape thing.
It is, isn't it? It's a PP
Just
tape
in case
thing.
you were. So yeah, there's a website is there, truthsocial.com, and you can pre-order on the App Store. So that means giving your details to Donald Trump, which is not a great idea. It encourages open, free, and honest global conversation, except criticizing Trump Truth Social. So as long as you don't do that, or write in all caps, you're fine. And if you do criticize them or write in all caps, they will sue you.
How is it that you're allowed to do a truth and follow the truth and do truthing and retruthing and do all of that?
Mm-hmm.
And how aren't you thrown off it for telling a lie? Because if they're putting that much stock in the word truth, surely one of the things that would break the rules implicit in the title is not being truthful.
Yeah. But you see, truth is redefined to be your own truth. We all have our own truth, just like we all have our own facts.
Right.
So that's how this whole thing works.
Okay. Yeah.
And my truth is correct.
Last week on the show, we learnt your truth involves sitting near a crystal because it will help defend from the bad energies, the dark side of the force that you get from the monitor. Yeah.
That's right. You can feel the power of it.
Feel the power of, do you know what is it? Is it quartz? What you got? A body center cubic lattice? Face center cubic?
Yeah.
You got going on there.
You can taste it.
That's really good during a pandemic. I'd definitely go around licking things. That's
Our house is fine.
Of course it is, because there's a crystal in it. So there's a really small crystal in my digital watch, so no wonder I'm doing so well in life with my total lack of nominations and my weekend of being called ugly for someone else's shit mouth.
But you got this show, and this show will still be here.
You just keep piling it on, don't you? Brit says the truth is it was a monolith. No, Brit. It wasn't a monolith. It was made of metal and it had separate parts. Oh. What's Victoria said, because Brian's agreed. First rule of Truth Club, you don't talk about Truth Club. You certainly don't say truths in it.
Yep.
Is a pebble a minilith? Yes. I'll take that. That I'll understand. Monolith, my bottom.
That'll be what gets you back into the spotlight. Talking your campaign. You should tape yourself or glue yourself to the M25 to get the word monolith used correctly.
Yeah.
You could become your own monolith. Fight
Britain.
for the monolith.
Yeah, I'll have some of that. Well, I mean, looks like I'm going to be busy next week then, doing all that.
Yep.
If
There
I can
you
get
go.
to
We got a
work tomorrow
plan.
as well.
So we will be back next Tuesday, or the Tuesday after that, whichever comes first. And got any gigs or anything you want to plug for this weekend?
Yeah, I'm gigging Friday, Saturday, but yeah, they're going to happen anyway. We don't know about live. I mean, there's talk of live versions of this in front of a live audience, because this is actually a live version, I suppose. We shouldn't say this is not live.
Unless you're watching this back later, in which case it's not live. But at the moment it is.
Yeah.
But now that I've said that, if you're watching it later, it's not.
It was live.
It's really confusing. But yes, we are looking at that. Probably not till the new year, because we can't be arsed.
This year's nearly done as well. So in the new year, some live versions of this. That'd be good. See if we can get it filmed as well. Pop that on the internet.
We can, every asshole's on tour these days. We'll just, you do a gig, it's a tour.
I did get to tell you this as well. So at the end of filming the last episode, we're all sat around waiting for the gallery to double check that no one else has fucked up and something else needs retaking. And the warm up guy, who's absolutely brilliant, is going, right, so what are you doing after this, Nish? And Nish says, I've got a tour coming up. And then the warm up guy goes, Ellie, are you on tour? And she's like, yeah, I got these dates and these dates. And there's a big pause. And you could feel how awkward it was, because there's only three of us sat on stage. And the warm-up guy goes, you touring, Steve? And I just went, If you mean caravan, yeah, I got one of them. Yeah, no, I'm just a club comedian. Everyone else has got tours.
Not just a club comedian.
No, you're right. I'm also hated on the internet.
Fat shaming bastard.
How dare he when he looks like an obese thumb? Yep. Good point. Well made.
I think all thumbs look obese.
Those insults fit like a glove because I'm a thumb. So I think we're up to date, nicely up to date. Yeah,
there we go.
Gigs next week. If we watch on this, really, I think that's the main thing for us to focus on. Let's get more eyes on this show. Let's make this the flipping success. That's what I'm in for. And
that's the truth. Copyright Donald Trump.
Yeah. Till next time. We'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching this from Comic Solving Problems.
And if you feel like it, go ahead and like the video.
Or subscribe. Commitment.